You're listening to The Main Event with Zach Gelb and Mike Zahn on WHIP.
Welcome back, everybody. Time in the WHIP studios is 11:35. NFL season kicks off tonight with the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Gillette Stadium. And then on Monday night, we got your Philadelphia Eagles, EAGLES Eagles, going up against the Atlanta Falcons. So let's talk some pro football right now with NJ.com's very own Eliot Shorr-Parks. Eliot, Zach Gelb here on Temple's campus. Thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on. And in your Twitter bio, I did see that you were Temple made with that hashtag. Big win on Saturday. It's 74 years in the making. Where were you for that Temple Penn State win?
I was tailgating for a little bit, and then unfortunately Chip had a press conference that day to announce the cut, so I had to work. But good win for Temple, obviously. And Chip actually at the press conference yesterday gave the Owls a little love, so Temple made.
No doubt about that, and a lot of professional football coaches reached out to Matt Rhule after the big victory. Andy Reid, who's now coaching Kansas City, we all know him from his Philadelphia Eagles day. You have Bruce Arians, who's a Temple guy. Todd Bowles, another Temple guy. And then Chip Kelly was actually at the game. It seems whenever there's a football game, Chip Kelly is always somewhere to be found, right, Eliot?
Yeah, I mean, football is his life. You know, he comes in NovaCare early, he leaves late. I mean, you know, if there's any guy you want, you know, people talk this offseason about whether or not he could be able to withstand having both the general manager power as well as head coach. And if there's any guy in the league you want doing it, it's Chip, because he's committed to his job 24/7, 365.
It's been an interesting offseason, to say the least, with the Philadelphia Eagles. It all started when they bumped Howie Roseman to a new position, and Chip Kelly got all that power like you were talking about. And then the next thing you know, LaShawn McCoy is gone, Jeremy Macklin's gone, DeMarco Murray went from the Cowboys to the Eagles. But that big gamble that he took was trading Nick Foles and bringing in Sam Bradford. You put it on your Twitter yesterday. It's been 694 days since the last time Sam Bradford has played an NFL regular season game. He looked good in the preseason. Do you think that will translate into the regular season? Will there be at all a period of rust for the Eagles quarterback?
Yeah. Well, he's not going to go for 10 for 10 with 3 touchdowns every game. I think that's fair to say. But, you know, at the beginning when they made the move, I was skeptical of it. I think like a lot of people were. I mean, I know he was the number 1 overall pick, but you look at his resume since he's entered the NFL, and there's really not that much to be excited about. But, you know, since training camps opened, you know, and off-season workouts, I've seen pretty much every throw Bradford's made, and he's looked elite. He's been everything that Chip could have hoped for. He's accurate. He gets the ball quickly. He makes the right read. So I'm sure there'll be a little bit of rust, but I mean, when you talk about going into the season and their expectations for him, I think they should be high. I think he's going to do very well this year.
Where do you think he is at from a mental standpoint? Because a big thing is when you return and play from the football field after suffering a gruesome injury, you're still thinking about it. Do you think he's still thinking about his injuries, or he's just ready to play some football?
If he is, he's doing a good job not showing it. Every time you talk to him about it, he jokes about it. You know, he has a good sense of humor about it, and he just doesn't seem to bother him. I mean, he was asked yesterday if he feels like Monday against the Falcons is the last step in his recovery process in terms of getting out there and playing the game, and he said he felt like he had that last step at the beginning of training camp when he was back out on the field. So I think it's something he's moved past, and it's kind of, you know, in a way, you know, you talk about Bradford here at the NovaCare, and you talk to, you know, different people, and they don't talk about the injury anymore, and that's kind of the big thing where, you know, maybe he has really moved past it.
Well, let's be realistic. I don't know how you can move on with your job that Tim Tebow has been cut. Do you miss Tim Tebow a little bit, talking about one of the most over-talked stories of the year for a third-string quarterback?
Well, the locker room's just not the same without him in there. You know? Nah, I mean, you know, Tebow was a good guy. It was nice. It was fun covering him. It was definitely a different experience. I would have kept him, but, you know, this is why Chip gets paid the big bucks, and I don't.
Were you surprised that he got cut? Because I thought he was going to make the team once they shipped Barkley off.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good chance. I didn't think I thought it was a pretty good chance he would make the team. Unlike, you know, when Barkley got traded, obviously that was a good sign. But ultimately, you know, Chip said it best, that he just wasn't good enough to be the third-string quarterback for this team right now.
I'm really intrigued to see these wide receivers this year. I'm a big fan of Nelson Aguilar. Jordan Matthews, I think he's really poised for a big breakout season. Not saying that he had a bad season last year, because I thought he was pretty darn good for a rookie. What do you project for those two wide receivers when you look at a number standpoint when talking about Nelson Aguilar and Jordan Matthews?
I think Matthews was very good last year. I think part of the reason he did so well is just because they kept him in the slot. They didn't move him around. And that's what they're going to do this year as well. He's going to be the slot receiver. This offense is really meant to feature the slot guy. So he's going to catch a ton of balls. I would say he probably catches more balls than he did last year. In terms of Aguilar, I'm not so sure what his production will be just because Huff and Cooper are going to be the starters on the outside. So Aguilar's going to play a ton, and as we saw in the preseason, he's obviously extremely talented. But I don't think numbers will be able to dictate how well he does this year. What you want to see from him is just when he has the opportunity to make those plays, he makes them, and how he does after the catch.
There's just so much talent on this team, and I'll be the first one to say, when Chip Kelly was making all these moves, I was not a fan of what he was doing because he was putting that trust in the quarterback position in Sam Bradford. But who knows? Maybe Sam Bradford comes here and he's able to stay healthy for the rest of his career. I'm still a little bit, I'm a little bit skeptical about that when you take a look at Sam Bradford with the quarterback position. But they have a lot of depth and a lot of talent on both sides of the football. One of those being that offensive position of running back. You have Ryan Matthews, you have DeMarco Murray, and then you also have Darren Sproles, who was the Energizer Bunny, I like to call him, for this team. When talking about dividing up carries, how do you think Chip's going to do it with these three running backs?
I think Murray's going to touch the ball the most, obviously. I think it's going to break down 70% Murray, 29% Matthews, and 1% Sproles. I don't think Sproles is going to carry the ball very much at all. I think he'll get plenty of catches, and I think he'll be a threat in the passing game, but my prediction is Sproles does not carry it a ton. I mean, at the end of the day, I do think Murray and Matthews will split carries to a certain degree, but Murray is going to be the feature back. I mean, you pay him that money, you bring him in here. He's the best running back on the team, and that's who they're going to give the ball to.
A few more questions with NJ.com's very own Eliot Shorr-Parks, who joins us on the hotline right now, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. This defense, especially the front seven, I'm really excited to see what they're going to be able to do this year. One of the best in the league. How do you think they stack up, though, against some of the better front sevens in this league? Because they got a lot of talent on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, you can make the argument they're maybe the best in the league in terms of just everything they were able to do last year. They were second in the league in sacks. They were fourth against the run in terms of yards per carry. And the good news is they should only be better this year with Kiko Alonso. If he can be even a shade of the player he was in 2013, where he was, I think he was Rookie of the Year, Defense Rookie of the Year with the Bills. This front seven is going to be elite. And then you talk about Fletcher Cox, a player who, is not underrated because everyone knows how good he is, but he doesn't really get a lot of recognition nationally. He's going to have another year in the system. I think he's going to have a breakout year as well. So I think this front seven could be the best in the league.
And then you get to the back end in the secondary. It was a big concern for the Eagles last year. It was just ugly when you had Bradley Fletcher lining up against Dez Bryant in that Cowboys game and them just getting torched big play after big play. You've seen the secondary a lot. They brought in Byron Maxwell. You bring back Malcolm Jenkins. Walter Thurman is with this defense now. Where's your confidence level at with this Eagles secondary?
I think they look good this training camp. I feel like I'm saying every move turned out well because initially I was skeptical of a lot of them, but everything seems to have gone well so far in training camp. Byron Maxwell has looked really good. He's done a good job on the Eagles receivers in one-on-one. He's long. He's deceivingly quick. He can really get down the field well. So he looked good. And then Walter Thurman, he might end up being one of the better decisions the Eagles made this year, and it was almost out of necessity. And, I don't want to say they lucked into it, but he's looked very good at safety. I think he could end up being a real playmaker for them, and I think he will be an upgrade over Nate Allen. So even if the secondary, then they were 31st in the league last year against the pass, even if they can just get up into 15 range or something like that, this defense is going to be considerably improved.
And Thurman just really seems like he has good hands. I was reading some story. I forget where it was. I don't know if it was your story or not. Maybe it was Zach Berman, but it was talking about how he grew up idolizing wide receivers, and he loved playing wide receivers. But Thurman's got some really good hands.
Yeah, he does, and you saw that on the interceptions he made. The tip pass from Nolan Carroll to him, that was, good hand-eye coordination. And then the one against the Packers went right to him. But, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think, I was asked a few days ago who I think is going to lead this team in interceptions. I think it's going to be Thurman. I think, he does a good job reading where the ball is going to go, and he makes plays when they're there for it to be made.
I was surprised that Rowe was playing corner. I know the other day they gave him some reps at safety. What do you think the long-term plan is for him? Is it safety, corner, or just a little bit of both?
Well, the Eagles better hope he can settle into one because you don't want a guy that, is okay at both and not great at either. He hasn't looked good so far at cornerback. He really struggled against the Jets and Packers. He let up 6 catches for over 100 yards and a touchdown those 2 games. So teams started to pick at him the last 2 games, and the bad news is that was against backups. So this Monday he's going to be facing starters against Atlanta. So I think he's going to remain at corner for a while, but the fact that they're starting to get him work at safety, could be a sign that maybe they're thinking, maybe he's better suited there.
I know you got to run, so final one here as we're talking with Eliot Shorr-Parks of NJ.com. I do have to ask you, though, there's a lot of optimism with this Eagles team, a lot of optimism in this city, and the city lives and dies by the success of the Philadelphia Eagles. When all's said and done, where do you see the Eagles at the end of the year? Are they in the Super Bowl? Do they fall just short? I'm going to assume they win the NFC East, but where do you see them finishing this year out?
Yeah, I think they'll win the NFC East. In terms of where I think their season will end, I don't know where it will end. I don't think it'll be the Super Bowl. I think it'll end whenever they play the Seahawks or the Packers in the playoffs. I just think those teams are too playoff tested. They're both Super Bowl champions. The Eagles team is very good. I think in terms of talent, they're up there with Green Bay and Seattle, and they might even have more talent. But just to me at this point, I can't pick a first-year team like this. I mean, Bradford's going to be really good, but he's never even played in a playoff game, so it's hard for me to picture him taking down Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson at this point. So I think the Eagles are going to be very good. I think they're the third-best team in the NFC. But until they get some more experience, I think it's going to be tough for them to beat either of those, the Packers or Seahawks.
I agree with you, Eliot, and we do appreciate a few minutes today. Thanks so much, and we look forward to talking to you as the season progresses.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
There is Eliot Shorr-Parks of NJ.com. Really good stuff talking EAGLES Eagles as their season gets underway on Monday night. How about that? Are you ready for some football? We are. 11:46 here in the WHIP studios. I'm Zach Gelb here with you. Flying solo, taking you up until noon Eastern time. When we get back, I want to shift the conversation to baseball. There's an MVP candidate, possibly, that's making some noise. And there's a lot of controversy surrounding him. We'll tell you that story coming up next. Zach Gelb here with you. Time the WHIP studios is 11:46.